listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast, brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technological advanced silhouette decoys on the market, and Vortex Canada, the force of optics.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430, episode 74. Listen, hold on to her because we got her going on tonight. We got the three boys from the East Coast Waterfowl Mafia. And listen, me, Merc, Phil cannot be held accountable for how this show is going to go, because this is going to go off the rails here real fast. We know it, but it's going to be good entertainment. So if you're looking at the screen the way I am, up in the top right-hand corner, we got Julien Dion coming to us from Nova Scotia. Below him is the handsome Ryan DeMerchant coming to us from Western New Brunswick. And then right below me is that beautiful, beautiful man, Maddie Wilson, with those luscious locks. 7 foot tall Maddie Wilson at that. Just in case anybody didn't know. Boys, thanks so much for coming on. We got Mark just outside of the nation's capital, and Phil is no longer in the dirty schwa, and he is now down in Port Perry. Yeah, Port Perry. Yeah, I got it right. Too many ports here in Ontario. Too many ports in Ontario. Boys, thanks for coming on. I got to say, I listened to the better part of your latest episode of your podcast. I'm telling you, it sounds like you guys had a whale of a time with the RNT Goose Crew. What I really liked about it was Sean Stahl when he had said, you know, I've been to a lot of places. I've traveled all over North America hunting. I don't think I've ever hunted in the mountains. And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I bet. I doubt if there's anywhere else where you would friggin' do that than where you guys were. Like, and he was saying, like, up on the high feature and watching the birds work up the side of the hill to come into the land to you. And that gotta be pretty cool.
Yeah, we don't even think about that here. Like, even places that have mountains, like they were talking about hunting in Colorado, and they're like, there's some real mountains there, but all the farm grounds on the flat down on the bottom. But here we really do. A lot of times the birds are roosting way down below us, and they have to climb hills to get up to us. So it is pretty unique. You know, no matter where you go, there's probably not very many places like this. So yeah, they thought that was pretty cool, and it is really. It's quite a spot. Well,
I never thought about it. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, I'd really like to be able to watch that and see that, watch those birds leave the roost and work up the hill to come into where you're shooting them. Like, it's got to be pretty cool. And then, you know, you got Ryan and Julien that's there too, right? And they got their faces covered up, so you don't want to scare the birds or nothing.
There, Julien, we try to keep him covered up the most, obviously.
Yeah, we try to keep him covered up the most and keep his call away from him.
Oh, you know, much like me. That's what Mark does with me too. Damien, keep your head down, cover your face, and don't put the call up. I was using my goose call today, doing some moaning, and Phil's like, what is that? What's that sound coming? What is that sound? He's like, is that a cow? I'm like, shut up, Phil.
Dying cow.
Yeah, shut up, Phil.
We got birds working, and Damien's talking in his Newfie voice, and like every 5 minutes I'm like, shh, fuck, quiet.
That's probably where they were born. They probably liked that sound.
Yeah,
the people in the next town over could hear him. Like, you can't.
That's why they like us so much, just because of our accent here.
Yeah. You can't use your Newfie voice out in the field.
That was what I really liked about that trip when I was down the PEI with Jeff Cote. I had said it to Merck. I forget how much I miss the smell of the salt water and being back on the East Coast. And And if you don't know what the salt water smells like, well, then you just won't understand what you're missing,
you need
right?
to.
Yeah, you definitely need to. So it was really cool to be able to meet up with you guys there in New Brunswick as we were traveling through. So it was pretty good. So listen, now for the people that haven't listened to the episode yet, and I experienced it when I was in PEI, but even Sean Stahl and Mr. Holloway talked about it. I've never heard tell of hunting birds over potatoes. Like that's the food source. I had never heard tell of it before, but then again, I was in PEI and I was hunting over piles of seaweed too, that I had never heard tell of that before either. So, what is it? Is there no corn? And this is, don't think I'm stupid, boys. Like, this is an honest to God question here. Is there no corn or nothing? Is there no corn or nothing around? Like, is potato the crop on your side of the province?
Ryan, maybe you want to talk about hunting over seaweed real quick first.
I couldn't tell you anything about hunting over seaweed, but that guy down there that fishes lobsters for a living probably could.
We hunt them over eelgrass.
Which is seaweed.
Which is, that's what I call seaweed, but the boys there, they were like, it's eelgrass. And I'm like, yeah, it's seaweed. They were like, no,
Why did we hunt over that, Ryan? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Okay, you don't. Okay. So quick story. We went for a hunt with Julien. Julien was going to guide us this time. And we showed up to the pond to hunt with no decoys. The guide left the decoys at home. So he's like, oh, no big deal, boys. We'll just get some of this seaweed and we'll just put it on the shoreline here. That'll bring him in.
Seine.
Huh?
Black seine, not seaweed.
Oh, there were some weeds in there. Chad had some weeds all wrapped up in it.
Oh yeah, well, it's the fucking old seaweed decoys he had.
Personally, that was the worst fucking guided hunt I've ever been on, ever.
Good trip, good trip. But that's a real deal. Yeah, they do that a lot over there. And I mean, like, I don't know how long in the morning it works, but certainly pre-dawn or early on, those little seaweed bumps that they put out in the field work pretty good.
Oh yeah, work for like that. I'd say probably 30 minutes after legal time, 45 minutes after legal time, like birds were working it. Like they had, and when you got it just mixed in with a bunch of black ducks, I could see how it could fool them.
Yeah.
Did you shove rocks in the flats and then put seaweed on top of it?
No.
Home, they take them and they'll shove like a rock in to make a little higher bump, and then they'll put eelgrass on top of that.
Really, eh?
Guys have done it for years.
It's a higher level of technology.
Oh, yeah. That is. You should patent that, Julien. Like
the PEIers haven't figured that out yet.
That's why they're no ducks.
I think you got
right. No ducks here because they shot them all over eelgrass.
Well, I think you got a better chance of Mark throwing a pile of grass on top of a rock than using silos.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, silos are great.
They worked this morning.
Yeah.
The birds were being a little on the wonky side, but
birds are being assholes is what it
well,
was.
Well, I think that just goes to show how spoiled we are sometimes when it comes to hunting geese. Like we shot 15 geese and it wasn't quick, but it wasn't bad in 2.5 hours.
2 at a time.
Yeah, 2-3 at a time. Like no big flocks come into work. So I'd much rather shoot at 2, 3, 4 birds at a time than I would have a flock of 20 come in and chances are only hit 1 or 2 of them anyways if I'm shooting.
Well, I can tell you one of the ones you hit this morning, you hit it.
Yeah. It was like somebody
pillow.
ripped open a pillow.
Yeah.
At one point.
I believe the proper term is pillowcased.
Pillowcase, yeah.
So we've hunted them here. It's a big area, obviously, for potato growing. And late in the year, that's what we do have corn here, but we've always had potatoes. Corn's a relatively new crop for us in the amount that they grow now. Like there was always a few dairy farms around that had a little bit of silage corn. But the potatoes for sure late in the year, once we get a couple frosts on them and they soften up, like it's all just waste potatoes that fall off or they're smalls or whatever. They love them. It's a real good starchy food, and they'll come in and they'll eat them, and it's almost like somebody shelled them out with a spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No difference in the taste of them, Maddie, like comparing them to like the corn-fed geese. Do you know what I mean? Like, is there any difference in the taste at all?
Never noticed, really. I
No?
mean, now there's a fair amount of corn around, so they would be eating that. But if they were hammering strictly potatoes, no, we never really noticed a difference in them.
Okay.
No.
How is that? So what are you guys seeing ducks finally moving in down your way yet?
Yeah, you got some by you, don't you, Roy?
Yeah, some ducks. Not like I'd like to see, but they're starting to move in a little bit.
Just starting to move now, though, eh?
Yeah.
It's funny here. Like we always used to get early in the year, we'd get duck hunts like most of the way through October. If we were shooting geese and grain, we'd always shoot some ducks. Now it seems like the first week or two of October, we have ducks here, and then they kind of disappear. And then once they start knocking down big amounts of corn, we get into them again. Like from now until the end of December, there'll be ducks around here because there's a lot of corn. So I don't know whether they're just waiting and coming down through or what, but it's been this year, especially, it's been super warm all season.
It has.
Like super foggy all October. Like we never have fog like that.
We left my place here this morning to go meet up with Phil. 3 o'clock this morning, it was 12 degrees here. Like
Is that right?
Yeah, 12 degrees, 2:30 this morning.
Wow.
Crazy.
No birds here yet. None.
No,
Really?
well, our season up here is setting up right now. We're gonna probably see geese till December 18th, like the last day of the season, and I haven't seen that ever.
Listen,
I just don't think we're gonna have a freeze up.
This is something I was talking to Bobby Hayes today, Merck and I, and I brought this up to him because he's starting to talk about birds and the number of birds and stuff. And I'm saying, and I've heard a few of my friends say it here in Ontario, we should move our season to the right a little bit because we're just shooting resident birds at the beginning of the season, right? Like there's obviously no birds that's moving or anything like that. So we're getting into October before we really start seeing birds moving around. And I brought it up to Bobby, and Bobby Hayes said in Kansas, they've pushed it and they had to fight a lot in order to get it, but they pushed it to the extreme. Like they can't push it anymore to the right. What about you? Like, are you guys thinking the same thing? Like, could you guys use pushing the season to the right a little bit, or are you happy the way it is right now?
Well, for us, it really depends on the year. This year, it's been good. It's warm. I still personally think there's quite a few geese left to roll through.
Yeah.
Me too.
I think our season, according to the weather this year, is good. But if you asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said, well, we missed the boat.
Right. And
And
you're
it
not
seems-
seeing, oh, go for it, Matty.
We talked about in the past, we always in the early goose season always had a lot of ducks. And we said, well, maybe it would be better if our duck season started the same time as early goose, and then we took some off the end. But now I'm glad that didn't happen because we do most of our duck hunting from now until the end of December. Like they moved it right till the end of the year, which really for us better because there's ducks around then.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
but as far as East goes, Ryan's pretty spot on there. Like sometimes I think it was Ryan, like 3 years ago, maybe we were froze up in November. Like our season was damn near done.
The first week in November, we were done.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Our season rolls through till January 15th.
Yeah.
And it's
In Nova Scotia.
yeah. And it should we don't have no birds here yet. None.
Right.
Yeah. I was just down in Nova Scotia, and there weren't very many ducks around. There was lots of geese. Not a lot of ducks.
Well, it's funny you guys say that. Like, at least for my area, like at least where we hunted today, like numbers are, I'd say, normal. But in one of the other major areas that I hunt, like, we're not even there.
No.
Huh.
A lot of guys are saying it's late this year, and I think I can honestly agree with that. Like birds.
I'm seeing, like, I see lots of geese. Like I still think there's lots of geese around. I don't think we've got our big push, just like what you guys are saying. I don't think we've got our big push of geese yet, but we haven't seen any ducks. Like, I've yet to see any ducks.
Well, we've been saying all season, like, why, like yesterday were pretty much ideal conditions. We hunted yesterday, and the day before it was fairly calm here. It was cool, and the moon was pretty good and bright that night. Now, when we woke up, it was blowing like 20 northwest, and anything that flew was a mile in the air getting out of here. And we saw,
Yeah.
I think, 3 flocks maybe getting out of here. But up until now, I mean, we still, like, we had snow on the ground this morning just a bit, but it's gone now. It rained the rest of the day. Like, it's been super warm all fall. Why would they migrate if they've got food?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if it's finally getting cold up north, maybe now we'll start to see a big push and a big migration. But outside of that, really, there'd be no reason for them to migrate. If food and water and it was warm enough, I would think. I mean, you know, they're only going to go as far as they need to, I would think.
Yeah.
Mark, you were saying that in where you are, which is only, you know, in an hour and a half east of me, everything's froze up where you are right now.
I'm northeast of you. Yeah. Things are froze up here, and I'm getting the north. Get on the Pembroke Petawawa area. I'd say it's probably froze out. Anything north of that, they got snow and ice. So the season there works because it covers the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the further south you get, like down around, like you said, down around the Great Lakes and stuff, if you could push your season to the right for some people, that would probably be a good idea. I can see why it would work down there.
I just, you know, I just think if you want to be able to get the birds, like, I don't know what the scientists think. I don't know what, you know, determines when they start the season and when it ends. You know, so I don't know if it's even feasible for them to change it, but I know, like, down in that Niagara, like Lake Erie, that side of that part of the province, like, they could definitely use it being pushed to the right, more so than what I am. Like, they don't even see a bit of snow down there. Like, they won't see any snow all winter down there.
Well,
right?
In fairness, Lake Erie freezes. Lake Ontario does not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really?
So like
Didn't freeze last year.
Like like, obviously it's all weather dependent, but you know, if you get your traditional winter weather, like Lake Erie locks up, and Lake O has never froze a day in its life. And like obviously down towards like that direction, like with the exception of the Niagara River, they lose all water.
Mm-hmm.
They've got nothing for the birds to roost on. But like now, like, you know, mind you, like some of those, you know, like Hamilton Harbor and whatnot, like, you know, it'll freeze up and stuff, but like for the most part, like the actual main body of Lake O doesn't freeze. So all those, you know, all those spots, say to like the eastern 2/3 of Lake O, it's, you know, it's just absolute gong show. Like the birds are there, they're not going to leave. It's a stone throw. Like obviously
Goddamn
the further
divers.
east, yeah, the further east you get from Toronto, the birds have to fly a kilometer to go from water to food.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like once you get out past, like, say, Oshawa, Bowmanville, they don't have to fly very far. So what's the point of leaving, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Julien, what's the sea duck? Like what? So when you're out, like, is your season for sea ducks open while you're out putting out when you're lobster fishing? Are you able to shoot eiders and stuff down there when you're fishing?
It just opened up November the 17th, I think, our eider season. But like I said, I take off here in a week's time to go lobstering, and I don't see home for like a month. So
really,
yeah, we don't. If I get Christmas off and maybe another day off, that's all I'm going to see probably. So
really,
yeah,
that's yeah. See, it is so different from where I'm from, lobster, because we're all just small boats. You know, go out in the morning, haul your traps, come ashore, right? You guys are gone out all the time, eh? That's crazy.
Yeah, it takes about 20 hours to go all the gear back home.
Holy smokes!
So when we hit the wharf, we unload it, turn
Do you
around.
guys have a Do you guys have a predetermined quota, or does that get decided while you're doing it?
No quota at all.
No quota on lobster.
So it's just go till the season's over.
Go till you can't take it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no more lobsters, and it's costing you more money to go out there than it is that you're making.
After like January the 10th or so, it starts slowing down. We'll only go every 2 days, and by February you go once or twice a week because everything's getting so cold. They kind of like hibernate. And then mid-March hits, and you start going back at her every day till the end of the season.
Yeah, go for it, Julien, buddy. Go for it.
Our birds, like a lot of our birds just show up at the end of the year, January. Like our geese, they'll winter here.
Your geese only show up when other places freeze up.
Exactly.
So the year that PEI and we froze up really bad, like in early November or late November, Yarmouth was full of birds. Like PEI completely froze up and all the birds.
Well, the valley's got to freeze. It's got to freeze all the way down.
Yeah.
Because they'll just stop. Like 1 year, Matt and Ryan, we slammed them. We shot like 65 in 2 days or something.
Yeah. Like a county.
We like that's most of the population against geese right there.
Killed them, yeah.
Well, we were in we were in Nova Scotia a couple years ago. Mark and I with Ryan Bro. Wasn't a lot of geese we seen. Actually, I don't think we seen any. But the ducks, like buddy, the ducks in Nova Scotia. It was impressive the amount of ducks that's there to hunt in Nova Scotia, there in the valley, eh, Mark?
Yeah. There one time I was Ryan wasn't even there. It was Ryan's dad and myself and another buddy, and we went into a field one afternoon, and I swear to God, there was 800 ducks using the bottom of that field.
Wow.
That's how many ducks there was.
It was wild, man. I never seen anything like it. Well, clear of out west. I never seen anything like it in Ontario for ducks.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you the duck numbers in Keswick this morning was less than par.
Yeah.
Where in the valley, they've got feed, right? In the valley, they'll have corn. They got agricultural land there, and that's what keeps up there. Like we got nothing here. We got hay fields and cow pasture. That is it in Southwest Nova. And it's hard to get on up in the valley. They lease a lot up there. It's hard to fields.
Yeah, you got to be you got to know some people there too.
Yeah.
So boys, you spent a few days with the Goose Crew there. How did that actually happen? Because I'm pretty sure like that was a long time in the making, right? Like planning that trip, like for Stahl to be coming into you guys, like you knew he was coming way a long time ago, right?
Yeah, I reached out to Sean probably close to 3 years ago.
Wow.
And mentioned about the opportunity here.
Yeah.
And by the time, with all the COVID bullshit,
right.
He was supposed to come last year, and it didn't work out. So we rolled it over to this year, and hey, the plan unfolded, and man, they were a hell of a crew to have here. They were a lot of fun.
I bet.
And we learned a lot, and shot the shit, and it was a good time. We had a good 5 days of hunting. Like, we hunted hard.
Yeah,
we did. You're absolutely right. It was a rough go.
Yeah.
Explain this friggin' thing. I can't remember what he called it. He called it like the Destroyer or some friggin' thing. This thing that explain this, because when they were talking about it, I can't mentally picture this thing.
So he calls it the Devastator.
The Devastator.
And it's a flag that one of his buddies come up with. And it's kind of, if you've seen Molt Gear's Magic Mike, it's sort of on that premise, but it was designed way before that, obviously. And you stake it into the ground, and it's got like an arm that comes up, and the flag's on it, and he can run different size. I think he said he can run up to like a 12 or 14 foot flag on it. And there's a string attached to it that goes to the blind, and he's got one guy in the blind that runs the flag. That's his only job, is to run the flag. He tells him either to flag or to flutter it, and he's just kind of shaking it on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's the answer.
Really, eh?
Phil
That would
runs
be me.
the flag.
Oh yeah, Phil runs the flag.
Oh yeah, he's a flag man. He's a pro at it.
I'd love to be able to hang out with that dude for a couple hours, because he sounds like a hoot.
Yeah. He's a good time. He's the blind assembler. He tells everybody what to do when they set the panel blinds up in the morning and make sure everything's straight and how it's supposed to be. And then he runs the flag during hunting time. So
that was pretty good.
That was the one thing with them. It's kind of like us. Everybody has a job, but it's pretty neat to see them. Like, they got 3 or 4 fellas that set up the blinds and get all that stuff ready. And then Sean was mostly with us, putting decoys out. And, they come in. We didn't know what to expect when they came here with a film crew and everything. But they were, they didn't just come in. They wanted to see how we did everything, how, do as the locals do.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool and pretty respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no ego, eh?
No, right. None at all. Like, the most down-to-earth people you'd ever meet in your life. Yeah.
That was one thing that I took from listening to the podcast, is that, when you got that crew that you've been hunting with, like, everybody knows their job, everybody knows their role, right? And when you show up on site, everybody just click, they know what they're doing, and it goes smoothly to set up, right? Let's see. Look at Maddie.
It does, yes. The first day when we got to the field, it was a little slow and a lot of indecisiveness. And day 2, it got a little better, and the indecisiveness kind of faded away. And come day 3, day 4, day 5, we were on a good roll. And it was just a progression, but we killed birds.
And at the end of the day, that's all there's to it, right? That's all you want. So it's not directly right out in front, eh, Maddie? So he runs it off, and then it angles back towards the blinds. Is that what I'm seeing there?
What you have there is, like, this is the stand that would be you know,
The panel
pounded it.
blind?
And this is the main bar, and then that end of it, it's like a T-bar kind of that's
Okay.
pounded in. It's flat out in the decoys, and that's your long flag that just lifts up off the ground. Slaps
Really, eh?
back down. Like putting a long flag, laying it on the ground out in the middle of the decoys, and then having something that it's hooked to
Yeah, just pull it off, eh?
or flutter it.
Well, it just
I'll
takes
send it to you if you want. I signed it and everything. That's an original.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be,
Will
right?
be.
Balance, maybe any balance.
You got to cover the framing charges?
No frame.
it just puts motion out in the decoys, and it's great. It just
Yeah.
takes it away from the blind, right?
Yeah, big time.
And I mean, we've had that stuff in the past, right? Like Higdon came out with the Higdon flapper, which worked pretty good. I always found they were a little bit loud myself, but I mean, they worked, and some people did some customization to them. They put wings on them or whatever, but this was just totally different where it was so long.
Mm-hmm.
It works. Like, I mean, just sitting in the blind, I mean, if you didn't know that he was flapping that out there, it'd make you feel like an awesome caller a lot of times, because man, that's all you need. As soon as you hit that and it would flap a little bit.
Yeah.
Some would just completely quit flapping. Just that motion out away from the blind.
Yeah.
And I mean, to do that when we had layout blinds, right? When you were hidden and you had a flag on the ground with you out there in the decoy, flap it. Like, a lot of times it worked, but now we've pretty much all but gotten away from that totally. So, you know, getting back to flags out in the decoys, or trying to make motion out in the decoys, positive motion, is sometimes tough.
Yeah. I still haven't.
This was probably the first system that we've seen that worked as it should consistently every day.
Every
Like,
day.
we've had the Higdon flappers, and we've had the molt gear flags, and they either pull out of the ground or the goddamn wings break off them. Or this system worked. It's been tried. It was proven, and I'm gonna have one.
Get a patent on that.
Or two.
Yeah.
And it folded up in a gun case, and they put it right away in the trailer. It had its own spot, and
Really?
yeah, packed right away.
So listen now, like you just touched on it, Matty, when you said like you guys are pretty much done away with layout blinds now. Is that what you were saying? Like, you guys are hunting panels and A-frames all the time now, right?
We got rid of them quite a long time ago. Like, before we ever had an A-frame, we got away from them and started hunting the edges. And we would just build blinds at the edge of the field. No frame or no nothing. We would just build up brush piles.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how big the field was, we would hunt the edge. But I don't remember the last time I laid in a layout blind. It's been a long time, years.
Really?
It probably the last time I was out, or the first time I was out west guiding, like 2016, would have been the last time I laid in one that I can remember. We just never did.
So now now that you're using panels, are you sticking strictly to hedgerows and the edges, or are you like going out into the middle of the field now too?
No, we hunt them in the middle. You have to be a little more crafty.
Yeah, I haven't hunted in the middle of a field with a panel blind yet. It's always been, you know, on an edge or where there's already some significant cover. So I've never done it. So I'm always a little bit skeptical of new things, right?
I very much was the same way, Damien, and I was shown the way.
Yeah.
And there's a couple hunts where I was hunting like winter wheat fields, and legit through the A-frame, smack dab in the center. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
The worst that happened was we shot limits of fucking geese.
Right.
Like, ate it up. Like, they're so hungry, so dumb, so stomach driven.
Yeah.
They don't even pick, because like there's so many farm properties where like there's clumps of crap here, clumps of crap here, this and that. Make your own clump of crap, and they eat it up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, when I was a kid hunting here, we still had rock piles in the fields. I mean,
right.
Really all that long ago, the guys started digging them out, and I mean, some of them had legitimate big trees in them, and because they'd been there for so long now, a lot of those have been dug out. But being as we are where we are, like the terrain here, a lot of these fields have a lot of ledge in them, and they don't farm those ledges, so they end up growing up in grass. There's no trees in them generally. I mean, sometimes there is, but anytime we can get butted up to something like that, or maybe they have some small trees, or we just make our blinds look like that, they're so used to seeing that as long as you've got top cover, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Just like you were saying, Phil, they don't even look at you.
Yeah.
No.
Like it took a bit for me to try to do it and just wrap my head around the concept. I'm like, I've got like 40 something years left of waterfowling.
Right.
I can sacrifice a day. And like, you done it once and you watch them like completely and utterly eat it, and it's just like it's an absolute game changer. Like,
well, it's a lot more so not only for the geese, but it's got to be a lot easier to shoot too, right? Coming out of an A-frame, standing up in an A-frame or a panel.
Not laying on the ground is so much fun.
Now that being said, Merc shot at least 4 geese today. I don't even know, like, I've done some pretty crazy tactical shooting in my fucking life and done some weird stances when it comes to shooting, but I seen Merc rolling on his side doing some Chuck Norris bullshit there this morning, and just smoking birds, and I'm just sitting there, I'm in the middle, and I'm like, holy fuck, nice shot, man. And he was like doing it over and over, and I'm like, never in a million years could I pull that shot off. So
now that you've said that, I need to change Mark's name on our chat.
So like being in a layout blind, and listen, I'm getting a little bit robust in the midsection. So getting up and being quick to shoulder the gun is it's getting a little tougher these days too. It's getting a little tougher these days.
Well, the other thing about layout blinds too is when you take somebody that's inexperienced or has never hunted waterfowl, man, it's hard to keep your eyes on what they're doing. And I think that being able to be in a panel blind or on an edge where you can see what people are doing with their gun and things like that, like not a supernatural position for people from sitting down on the ground. Yeah. And I felt like even though you tell them people weren't 100% sure what to do with their gun. And I know personally, not only guiding, but just taking friends out that are just starting or something, I feel a lot better in a panel blind, a lot safer.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about panel blinds, and this is just because I had done 20 years in the Army, and it drives me bananas seeing guns laid, like standing up. Like it to me, I'm just like, that's going to fucking fall over and someone's going to get shit. But that's just, 20 years of being in the Army, right? Like it drives me fucking bananas to see it, but I know you can't lay it down. I don't like the shotgun just leaning up against that blind, right? Let's go for it, Mark.
Here's a little pro tip for that. So we were just down with Ryan in the valley, Ryan bro, and one of the boys seen, I think Steve seen it, on the back of Ryan's Hudson bibs. He had those little little clamps, like they're almost like woodworking clamps. You can get different sizes, but they were just small ones. And what he does, he uses those for clamping onto the side of his A-frame. He'll clamp one here and one here, and the shotgun will stay in between it, so it won't slide anywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he just hooks, when he's done with them, he hooks them on the back of his bibs, and they're there for the next hunt.
Huh. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty neat. For anyone who's
SMRT.
doing that.
Yeah. Like I've got 2 panel blinds and I've got the crossbar, so I just use the crossbar to
That works.
lean it up. But like again, the crossbars you have to buy separate.
Yeah, but those little clamps, you can instead of having to rely on the corner now, you can
Or you can put the
pop
damn
it
thing
somewhere
anywhere.
else and just pop your 2 clamps, and that's where your gun sits.
It's
Oh, Jesus, boys.
infinite.
He's drawn again. He's drawn again, boys. What's he
What are you
Infinite.
drawing now, Matt?
We bought last we haven't used them this year. A lot of times if you're not sitting right there holding your gun, we were starting to get guys to put their gun on the back side of the rail.
Yeah.
Like you put your panel up against the rail on the blinds we have, and then they have to Velcro it over. So we were just getting guys to put it up in there so it really couldn't fall. But I got these things from Rogers last year, and they're clamp like that hooks onto the blind.
Yeah.
Oh, V clamp.
Yeah. And anyway, they came and the pipe on them was like 10 inches long, we'll say. So I cut them all down, and but they don't really fit. Our blinds are kind of a universal, so you'd have to put a little tape, or you'd have to put like some refrigeration insulation on there and then clamp them over that. But it was a good idea. Like they wouldn't fall over if you had those. They came in packs of 3.
Is that the ones there, Matty? Look at what Merc got up there. Is that the same thing?
That's different. That's different.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything like that would work.
You know what? The thing I always love when talking to duck and goose hunters, I don't think there's another group of hunters out there that jerry rig and change stuff up and make their own stuff and than what duck and goose hunters do. Like you look at what Stalin them has got there. Matty, you're talking about, these clamps that you're buying and so nobody else does this, I don't think. To the best of my knowledge. We're the only ones that jerry rig the shit out of everything just to make it that
much gear as we do. We've got more gear than really anybody. I mean, trailers full.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
So.
I guess that is a good, but like, if you think about someone that's on a straight goose hunter, like, yeah, they'll get into some ducks in the field and stuff like that. But if you're, let's say, the Midwest of the States, where you're just hunting goose field after goose field, the amount of gear that you need to be successful every day, it's ridiculous. Like you need a full on, like how many trailers are you guys running right now? 2 or 3?
We get 2.
2.
Yeah.
And both of them filled to the tits.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, a lot of money in gear, but hey, you try to perfect your craft, and what's $100 now? Nothing.
Well, and I guess that leads into something good, Ryan. Like, so right now you see anybody that's new, that's coming into the sport, that's, chasing ducks, chasing geese. And it would almost seem like it's overwhelming that they need to be able to go, well, shit, if I want a goose hunt, I got to go buy a trailer. I need like 6 dozen avians and all this stuff. But what the new hunter doesn't realize is that all of, like, fellas like you, fellas like everybody that does this and does it a lot, you didn't wake up one morning with a trailer full of decoys and blinds and a big pickup truck to tow it all around and stuff. It took years of putting it together and saving money and doing whatever it is that you had to do, like Julien down on Pizza Corner in Halifax selling his body and stuff like that in order to buy a dozen decoys, right? Like that's the cost.
It literally took them years and years and years that way.
Pizza Corner class. I think he was fucking Spryfield.
All the street. All the street.
Down on Pete's Corner. Donair sub.
Oh yeah.
Down the Spronks.
Yeah. No, but seriously, like you see it, and you like if you spend any time watching the social media feeds and these groups of waterfowl groups and stuff like that, and you see so many people coming on and saying, I'm new to, here's the question, and the three of you, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, because this is something that we heard the other day. And you guys are in, because I do want to talk about East Coast calls. We got to get into that. But if a new hunter came up to either one of you guys today, would you tell them to buy a set of binos or one of the new East Coast calls as their very first purchase to get ready for goose hunting? What would you say?
Bueller.
Radio
I'd say
silence.
binoculars, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, binos for sure.
What are you thinking, Ryan? You're not saying nothing.
I'm just seeing what the other boys say, but binos definitely.
Yeah.
We still got guys that scout around with us that drive around with no binos on, and we never trust anything that they see. We always have to go check it.
I've got
Here's another question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you go with first, decoys or a Tacticam?
Good question.
In fairness, I've seen decoys drawing a lot more geese than a camera.
Yeah.
Eelgrass.
That's just me.
Eelgrass, yeah.
Eelgrass.
I'm thinking about investing in an eelgrass firm. What's your thoughts on that?
Probably money.
You'd probably be money, yeah. No, but seriously, like with all these groups and there's new people that's trying to get into the sport, try to get into the way of life, and they ask these questions, and people just, well, you get a dozen decoys, you get a dozen decoys, then you get 2 dozen decoys, and then you need a trailer, and then you need your sled to pull them in if you can't drive into the field, and you got to pull them in, and they're just overwhelming people with all of this stuff, instead of saying something is like, listen, buy yourself a good set of binoculars, find where the birds are. Once you find where the birds are and where they want to be, you can pretty much do anything you want then, as long as you're hidden. If you find the X, all you got to do is hide. Chances are you'll shoot birds.
Man, we didn't have anything when we started. Like, we had the most jalopy bunch of decoys you'd ever seen in your life. That picture that I posted, I don't know if you saw a little while ago, I was holding up a snow goose and a Canada, and I was hunting a goose chair. Like, I had, Carry Light, Super Mag, Flambeau, Canadian Tire, shells, probably some silhouettes, like whatever we could afford and throw together and throw
That's
on
right.
the back.
Outlaw silhouettes.
Outlaw silhouettes, yeah. Like whatever we could get our hands on. It wasn't until later on that I actually had enough money to buy a substantial amount of decoys and nice ones, but we just threw together what we could for gear, and we always had a great time. And I think you see the industry changing a lot. Like, a lot of guys are buying silhouette, hunting out of panel blinds, and you're absolutely right. Fellas think that they need a shitload of gear to go out and do it. But really, sometimes less is more. You buy what you can afford, buy what makes sense, like you were just asking, the call or the binoculars. Well, if you become a good scout, I know one guy around here in particular that can't blow a goose call, never really could, but he find birds, and he shot lots of them, and he didn't really have a super good decoy spread. What he had, he took care of, he painted them and stuff every year, and he shot lots of geese. He just knew how to put himself in the right spot, So
that sounds like me.
Boys get me up there every year. I find all the birds.
Well, there you go.
Is that your claim to fame, Julien? You're the head scout?
Yep, basically. You can ask anyone in New Brunswick, they'll tell you.
Anyway, hold on.
You know how to drive.
I'm not even
Don't
gonna
know where
bite
I
on
am.
that. Not even gonna bite.
Not even gonna bite, he says.
No.
My
Fellas,
wife's down there now teaching a course. I'm going to ask her.
Boys, I want to change it up a little bit. I sort of alluded to it before we hit record button. So we recorded a new show last night. I think I will Budweiser Light. I think I will grab some buds. I lost my train of thought there.
New show.
New show. So we recorded a new show last night, and the big focus is really, and I know you guys see it a lot too, is there is a ton of negativity in the waterfowling world, right? Like people are jumping on people for making mistakes or asking questions that someone deem as stupid or whatever. So we recorded a show last night, really focusing on the positive aspect of getting out there and doing your thing. And the first episode was focusing on the it. So what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning to go chase the migration, to chase these birds, be in the shittiest weather, work hard like you guys had with Stahl and the Goose Crew, to be able to grind out in order to get your birds every day. I think is what's happening is that people think there's this default answer, because for a long time I was saying, well, I just love hanging out with my buddies. That was the answer I would give, but that's such a bullshit answer for me, because I like shooting birds. I like watching my dog work. I could go out by myself. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the company, but that's not the reason why I go out hunting. I don't go out to hang out. I can hang out in my garage. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to sound like a jerk by saying I don't want to. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I want to shoot birds.
Yeah.
So, and then Bobby Hayes had said, Jeff Coates said, he didn't want to work a real job. That's why he became a guide. He didn't want to work a real job. Eric Massey says he loves watching them that last few meters and when they're working and just before the shot, and same with Bobby Hayes. Julien, what's yours? Like, what gets you excited to leave Yarmouth and travel all the way to New Brunswick to guide for a month, to turn around and go back lobster fishing for a friggin' month?
As a guide, you don't shoot, I guess. So it can't be the shooting part, but I just like seeing them work. I like seeing them, like, it only takes one flock. Like, we were there one day with Stahl, and it was real hard. We're running traffic and there wasn't much on the go, but one flock came over the top, and there's 4 of them. And they just sat there, just hung there. The boys opened up, and it's like they all come down at one time. Like, it was something to see. It just stuck in my mind. And just moments like that, I guess.
Ryan?
Me, it's when daylight shows. You look at your spread and you're like, I've set out what I think is the perfect spread. and I want to see if I can fool these birds. I don't want them to land to the outside of the spread. I don't want them to land to the right. I don't want them to land to the left. I got 3 pockets for them, and I want them in one of those 3 pockets. And if I can see them do that, that is my day, especially when they touch those wingtips almost together and bow right up and come in. There is nothing on this earth like that. Just love it.
Ooh,
to me.
Maddie. No, and that's the thing. Nobody's it is wrong, right? And that's the thing. Like whatever it is, if it's watching the sunrise, then so be it. Like that's cool. Like that's what gets you out. That's fine. But be transparent, be real, and say what it is exactly. Maddie, what's yours?
I think for me, waterfowl hunting for me has always been a way of life. Like I never have known a time since I've been alive and breathing that I didn't want to do this. And Julien made a good point. Like when you're guiding here, you can't shoot.
Right.
So there has to be more to it than that. And you know, when we were kids, we would crawl across the field of broken glass to shoot a goose, but I don't want to shoot them that way anymore. I mean, we want to do it like what Ryan said. So for me, it's kind of a package deal. Like I like to scout, love to scout, love scouting. All summer, obviously, I train my dogs and I love to be able to run them. Love to be able to run them on sailors and do big long blinds with them. Love setting decoys, and to go along with what Rye said for sure, when we set stuff out a certain way, we want those birds to work that spread a certain way. Like there's nothing that isn't thought of when we put our blind out and we decide which spot we want to be at in that field. There's nothing that's not thought of, no detail that hasn't been gone over with the wind. It's well thought out. And again, when they decide to swing around and finish and drop the landing gear down and come in, like mission accomplished. And then you might shoot some and then you get to run your dog. But for me, honestly, I can't really say that it's one part or the other because there's so many parts of this that I enjoy. And I want to shoot them just like you do, but I don't have to be the one behind the gun. I just want to see it happen. I want to be part of it and call at them. There's another thing, like when you've got a bird that's heading that way, you're looking at his arse flying away and you blow your call and he goes whoosh, and turns around and comes back. Like you did that.
Yeah.
He thought you were a goose and he wheeled around and dropped his feet and came down into the decoys, like hiccuping, just screaming at you like that.
Yeah.
That stands hair up on the back of my neck. I love that. Love that sound. So
yeah. No, it's good.
Only one thing. It's a package deal for me. I really love every part and piece of it for sure.
Mark, what about you? I know what yours is.
But I can still tell you. So for me, it's, you know, when you're on the X and you're so well hidden, the geese come in from half a kilometer away or more, or half a mile, or whoever's listening, and they just come in cupped in, and they're coming in 10 feet over the field, right into your pocket. That's the best feeling for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we had a little bit of a work hunt this morning. We pulled birds. A flock of 20 would go by and we pulled 2 out of it and 2 would come in. I mean, that was enjoyable as well. I mean, is sometimes how that can be frustrating to have to try and pull birds out of every flock. That was good. But my thing is when, you're hidden so well and those birds want into that field so bad that it doesn't matter if you're standing outside the decoys when they're 200 yards away. As soon as you hop in, they just keep coming. They don't hesitate and they just keep coming straight in. I love that. That's my thing right there.
Phil?
Well, there's obviously a number of people that know that like my big passion and my heart lies with sub gauges and small water and shooting ducks and whatnot. And for me, like literally it is trudging through knee deep mud, waist deep water, smelling that, loon shit, if we want to call it, putting out those dozen decoys, 15 decoys, and either sitting up next to a tree or sitting on like one of my special spots. I sit on the ground under a willow tree and just wait, and just hoping to see, even if it's just a single pair of mallards, just like, as Wade would say, holding pumpkins, and just dance from the skies into your spread. Like nothing gets my mojo going more than watching ducks rain from the heavens.
Before
I would honestly rather shoot a single duck in a small swamp and just watch it rain from the heavens than go out and smash limits of geese in a cornfield or a bean field any day.
Before I got the dog, for me, the thing that always got me was when they would spill air. That was the thing. Like, watch them come in and watch them flip upside down and just that, like, that would just get me so worked up. But now that I got the dog, like, I get so I have a business where social media is what drives my business, and I should be recording and taking pictures of everything. And the minute that my dog starts to work, I'm total tunnel vision. I just sit back and I just watch her work because I love it so much. I don't even record it. I forget to record it because I'm just watching her. And then, yesterday we shot, Mark shot a mallard yesterday. It crippled it. Then I shot it. I thought I had got it. Didn't, anyways. So sent the dog. The dog went out. The duck started swimming away, and I was like, "Gosh, she'll get it. It might take her a while before she gets it, but she'll get it." The duck went into some weeds around a point, so we couldn't see my dog. I was like, "Well, I'll get out of the boat and I'll go over and see if I can get her and stuff like that." And just as I'm getting ready to get out of the boat, I can hear the. I was like, is that her? And Mark's like, yeah. And she got the duck too. And I was like, yes. Like, that to me, I'm not a great caller. When it comes to goose hunting, I really don't know what I'm at. Like, I don't know setting up the decoys and stuff like that. But the amount of time I've put into training the dog, that is the moment where I can see the work that I've done, and I can see how much, and I know that how a dog can screw up a hunt, and I know how a dog can make a hunt that much more better. And I love it. That's my, just watching that dog work and just that love of just wanting to go to work and do it. It is for me. That's great, boys. All great answers. Listen, Ryan, you're on the spot, buddy. Let's do a plug for East Coast calls. Because I got a call, like, well, I really put him on the spot. He don't have nothing to say, Matty.
No, you got me speechless, which is unheard of.
So I got a call that's coming to me. So anybody that's listening, we're going to do a contest here. Once that call gets in my hand, I'll be making a post, and you got to go to the East Coast Waterfowl Mafia's YouTube channel. You got to subscribe to them. You got to subscribe to our channel, and then the winner will get one of these new calls out of East Coast calls. So anyways, I stole a little bit of your thunder there, Ryan. So go for it, buddy. Give a good plug on East Coast calls here now.
Hey, a maritime company, 3 good buddies. It's an original maritime company from Glen Gillespie on the island.
Yeah.
We took it over and found a good fella to hammer us out some calls, and that's a horrible plug, but that's all I got. As you can see, you caught me way off topic.
Yeah, I did. I totally did. I totally screwed you over. Listen, The calls are working. How are they doing in the field? Like what are you guys hearing from people that are using them right now?
They love them.
Yeah.
Well, like Ryan was saying, we had a bit of a struggle. We really wanted to make them in Canada.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't find a manufacturer that could make them consistent or even close to a decent price point. And so we've got a guy down at Black Dog Outdoors in Texas that's doing them for us. And man, he does such a good job. You know, when you're building a call, you're building a musical instrument. And when we send these calls out to people, like, we don't care if we sell 10 or 100 a year, like we want them all to be good, or 10,000. Like we want them all to be good. And we want to have our hands on all of them. But everybody that's got one from us this year has really loved them. There's been a lot of thought put into them. We went out and sourced out good guts to put in them. They're broke-in guts. I mean, nobody sells a call without broken guts in them today. So you can actually find them for a good price. We got CNS Customs pillow maker guts in them. And yeah, guys seem to like them. And there's a lot of them around from when Glenn was making them. So there is a rich history with them near in the Maritimes. But yeah.
How are you guys doing, like, outside of the Maritimes? Like, are the calls migrating west at all? Or because, like, this is really your first year, right? I know Mr. Gillespie's done it for a long time, and then you guys have taken it over this year though. But like, are they migrating west? Because we got to really kick this up and make you guys filthy rich here on the call, in the call world, right? So I can't wait to get my hands on one and check it out. But I'm such a horrible goose caller that I really wouldn't be able to give it the quality and the.
Well, a lot of our calls have been sold, you know, in the Maritime provinces. I have sold some in the States.
Nice.
Some of my hunters that come up bear hunting are also waterfowlers, and they've got me to send some calls down to them.
Nice.
But you know, you touched on goose calling there about, you know, you're not a good goose caller. Well, I haven't been goose calling for very long, and it's one of those things. Ask Matt. You really got to put some time into it.
Yeah, big time.
And you know, anybody can be a goose caller. You just really have to put the time in and get that muscle memory and everything right, and the basics. It's like anything. It's like mathematics or anything. You got to have the basics.
It's not rocket appliances, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, how many people pick up their calls the night before the season? And you know, you ask any of them guys that proficiently blow a call, there is time put in that call almost every day or a few times a week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I try my best to do that. I'm no great goose caller, but I strive to be better.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with waterfowl. Like every day, like you're trying to, because you're constantly trying to fool these things, right? And it's not like any other hunt. It's not like bear. It's not like deer. It's not like you get your deer, you shoot your deer. Well, then your season's over. Leafs just scored, boys. Leafs just scored.
First time this week.
Shut up,
but Sean brought up a good point when he was talking, you know, about calling. Most times you don't have to have that large a vocabulary, right? A lot of people, like Matt pointed this out to me years ago, but he said, you watch people call. People will sit there in the blind and call, and they're looking at the ground. Well, you're not calling the ground. You're calling the birds that are trying to work around you or into your spread. So, you know, if you're blowing a spit note or a cluck or a quick spit or whatever, and they're not reacting to it, or they are reacting to it, you got to adjust accordingly, right?
Yeah. And that's one thing. Yeah. And you're 100% right, Ryan. And I've heard it 100 times. Like, you got to be able to read the birds, right? Like, it's no good to just sit there and cluck and make all kinds of noise. Be able to read the birds and see what it is that they're liking, that they're hearing, and maybe they don't want to hear anything.
Yeah, that's right. We've had probably the most times this year, like, it's been the dirty turkey notes and the moans, and like, they don't like anything high pitched. They just want the finishing notes in the decoys. And some hunts we've hardly blown a call. And the thing
Phil,
is,
that's what I was doing today, Phil. I was doing the moan today. The dirty moan.
Oh, it was dirty. Like, I know, by all means, I am not a great goose caller. I can mumble out some sounds. I just find really stupid fields with a ton of birds and just wing it.
Hey, and that works too. Listen, buddy, you put us on a great field today.
We seen a couple dozen.
Yeah, we seen a few. We seen a couple hundred birds today, easy. Yeah, it was a great field. It was a great hunt. And you know what? You guys did good with the flagging and did with the calls. And that's another, like, that flag.
I can flag like a fucking champ.
What an underrated thing, though, that flag, right? Like, we touched on the thing that Stahl and them got made, but even just that handheld flag in the layout line, what an undervalued piece of kit.
It is like spinners to ducks is like the flag to geese. Like, you have to have it. Yeah. But there's a time and place for it. And like, there comes a point in time where, like, where the birds get so close where, you shut her off. Like, don't be flagging. Just let them finish up and give them the good news. But anything sort of like distance wise, say 50, 60 yards and beyond, just give them that motion. Oh, look, like that bird just stood up and stretched his wings, whatever, right? And just, it adds the realism.
Well, they see you a lot further than they can hear you.
Yeah. Boys, I just checked the time and we're over that 60 minutes. Oh, look at this fancy stuff.
Beauty, boys.
Oh, that's a sexy photo.
That is a sexy photo. I tell you, the dude that's holding those geese he's a sexy man.
Has no idea what he's doing.
That's what makes it a sexy photo.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I spent all this money on camera gear and bitched out here using his goddamn cell phone. Goose Norris.
Boys, I've been here an hour trying to figure out how to hold this camera so it doesn't show my 3 chins. It ain't going good.
That's why you got to do this, Ryan. You got to grow something down past your chin, and then they can't see the other 2 or 3. That's what I do, buddy. That's what I do. Boys, at a fear of losing the audience, I think we'll call her here. We're over that 60-minute mark. Listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I know I gave you a really, really short notice last week to try to get you to come on the show, and you just couldn't do it just because of the short notice. I really appreciate you guys coming on, and I love for you to continue coming on. Anytime you need to come on, you want to come on, you need to plug anything, need to chat, need to make an announcement, anything, just fire us off a message and we'll get you in, because I love talking to you, and I love the fact that you're East Coast and doing it, because it's nice. It's even nice to hear Julien's accent, if that makes sense. Like that's how hurting I am for the East Coast, is that I'm missing that Southern Shore Nova Scotia accent.
You should have got all kinds of PEI.
Yeah, PEI was pretty good too. It was pretty good. Not,
PEI
but not.
and Yarmouth have a similar accent.
Yeah, yeah. So it was good, boys. Thanks so much. We'll do a quick round the table to close it off, and then that'll be it. Julien, buddy, to you first.
Well, thanks for having us on here, man. I really appreciate it. Love talking to you boys, and hopefully we do this again.
Oh yeah, we will. I promise you. Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Phil. Mark, nice meeting you both, boys. Hopefully you can get to the East Coast here for a hunt sometime. And Damien, your call is in the mail, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks. I should have told you to put another one in for me so that I could have had one and I could have sent you the money. But we'll figure that out down the road, because I want one. So I'll give one away, and then I want to buy one as well, right? So we'll figure that out, Ryan. Not a big deal. But now that you just touched on something, so we should try next season and meet up and do a hunt and meet up somewhere, if it's New Brunswick or if it's Ontario or wherever. But it would be pretty cool for us all to come together and do a hunt and just be able to, chew the fat and shoot some birds. It would really would be cool. Matty, to you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, listen, boys, I just really appreciate you thinking of us and having us on. It's always good time sitting, shooting the shit with you all. And yeah, look forward to being on here again. Always great conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Mark.
Good seeing you guys. Good meeting Ryan and Julien. I haven't met you guys before, so it was good to sit here and have the chat. I just got to say, my first goose call was an East Coast call. And that was what I learned to call geese on. Actually got it off of Ryan Bro. It was kind of like a bit of a hand-me-down at the time. And that's gone on to other owners since. But I wouldn't mind in the future, like Damien was saying, I wouldn't mind getting a new one now, because I'm sure the ones you guys are putting out now, I'm not saying they're better than those were back then, but I expect with the pedigree that's going into them now, I expect they're a really good call. So looking forward to that.
Philly.
Well, to our millions and millions of listeners, because
That's right.
I've legit missed like the last month of episodes just because of work and other nonsense, but it's great to be back.
Yeah.
To Julien, Ryland, it's great to meet you guys and to chat. And to Julien, love the sweater, bro. Love the sweater.
Love the sweater.
And to Maddie and the luscious locks. Like honestly, like I envision Maddie sitting on a big black stallion.
No, white stallion, white horse, not a black horse, a white horse.
Black, big black horse with the wind just feathering through the hair. Yeah.
With no shirt on, and I'm picturing Maddie with like that little soul patch right there, in the middle of his chest.
No shirt on, and like just a big shotgun in his hand. Crushing corn guzzlers.
Find me a horse, I'll do it for you when we meet up.
How about a donkey?
Sounds like they put a lot of thought into that, Matt.
I pulled that off the cuff.
Too much.
It just be feel doing stuff, right?
It's only because I'm jealous of Matt's hair and because mine's just not there anymore. Yeah.
Boys,
less to maintain.
Right.
Boys, thanks for doing it, boys. Everybody, to the millions and millions of listeners, listen, not only should you be listening to this show and continuing listening to this show, you really need to check out the East Coast Waterfowl Mafia. Check out their podcast. It is great. It is some funny stuff. A great podcast. Tons and tons of knowledge, tons of education. These guys have been doing it for a long time, and you really should show some support to another Canadian, another East Coast crew that's doing it all season long. So check them out, please. Check out their YouTube channel, which is friggin' amazing. The amount of video and the hunts that you guys have done is truly amazing, and something that I want to copy. I want to imitate what you guys done with your YouTube channel, because it is really that good. So to everybody, check out East Coast Waterfowl Mafia. You got the boys' names right there. Julien Dion, Ryan DeMerchant, Matty Wilson. Wesley didn't come on tonight because he got his priorities all screwed up, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. We'll talk to him about that later. Everybody, this was episode 74 of Union 0430. Again, nobody here is going to claim ever to be an expert. We're just a bunch of friends that love one another's company, love talking about bird hunting, and most importantly, just being who we are and down to earth. Big love, everybody. Until next episode.